Hello, my name is Eric, and today I come before you with a video presentation on the ways in which advertisers jumble both entertainment and information in their ad campaigns in an attempt to catch the audience with their guards down, having the mindset that they will be more susceptible to falling for their messages. As early as the beginning of the 20th century, advertisers have used humor to their advantage in their advertisements as a way to draw in larger audiences. Advertisements were once thought of as a medium that should solely be based on giving the public pure and persuasive information with almost no focus on trying to be entertaining in any sense. Here is a fairly modern example of that type of advertisement.
Do you feel trapped by credit cards? Their latest trick is doubling your minimum payments. $25,000 on cards now means your minimum is $1,000 a month. Be late once and there go the late charges. I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. If your credit cards are too high, consider Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 no interest repayment. Log on to infotapes.com or call now.
1-800-872-4455.
Even though this ad is 30 seconds long, and many ads can be successful in that time, it fails to do so because of how dry and boring it is. Eventually, the mindset of a pure information-based type of advertising was forced to change and adapt through the decades, since the whole goal of advertising in the first place is to draw as much attention as possible to a particular product or person. Magazines and papers that were once filled with dry information-based ads were becoming more and more integrated with more humorous ads that depended on appealing in a more emotional way to the reader, rather than an informative or logical way. Take for example this cartoon advertising roach powder in 1927, showing a humanoid bug telling another childlike bug to "Beware, my son, beware. Stay away from Peterman's. It has killed your whole family." Besides the implications of this killer leaving bugs alive to seek revenge against you for killing their families, this ad works because it shows that Peterman's bug killer is strong enough to pretty much kill most of the family of insects that may be infesting your home. As more and more advertisers shift to a more humorous approach in trying to peddle their goods, an increase in research regarding the subject has taken place to examine the reason why these ads work. Two of these researchers, Thomas J. Madden and Mark G. Weinberger, conducted a variety of surveys and tests in regards to the way humor affects advertising. As we can see in this table put together by the two researchers previously mentioned, it can be seen that both research executives and the creative executives in advertising, by a majority, agree that humor not only is better at gaining the attention of the audience when compared to a non-humorous ad, but they also agree that it helps comprehension of the message that is trying to be delivered. Their research also reveals that people see products like foods and drinks, alcohol, snacks and candy, restaurants, health and beauty aids, and toys and games as products that work best with humor. Along with Mark Weinberger, other researchers such as Paul Speck, Harlem Spots, and Amy Parsons have been able to identify three governing humor mechanisms. The first of these mechanisms is known as effective humor, which is described as a violation of uniform or social standards leading to an emotional release. The second mechanism is interpersonal humor. This type of humor results from feeling superior to someone who is being abused or oppressed in some way, whether physical or emotional. The final mechanism is cognitive humor. With this mechanism, humor stems from incongruity and rhetorical irony, or in other words, by being unexpected and inconsistent in a very certain way. Many of these studies that look at humor in advertising focus on the term intentional relatedness, which is the balance of humor and information found in the advertisement, and this determines whether the ad is focused more on the humor or more on delivering a message. These researchers also developed what is known as the Product Color Matrix, or PCM for short. The PCM is used to differentiate products into categories, and by doing this, the researchers could see how humor was utilized and to what effect in different types of advertising campaigns. The PCM is split by being either a functional tool or an expressive toy, and being a high risk economically or a low risk economically. The first square, which falls under functional tools and high risk, are the white goods, also known as the big tools. This encompasses things such as large appliances like refrigerators, stoves, dryers, washers, etc., and also things like insurance or other essential components for your vehicle. Next we have red goods or big toys, which falls under the categories of being high risk and being an expressive toy. Now these things include items such as expensive jewelry, fancy clothing, expensive cars, and other things that you do not need but really want that cost a lot of money. Now we have the blue goods, or little tools, which are functional tools with a lower risk economically. Now these include things like detergents, household cleaners, motor oil and gas, your basic food items, and all sorts of health and beauty products like shampoo, soap, conditioner, etc.
Introduce your hair to Clairol Herbal Essence Shampoo. Your hair will get very excited.
And finally we have the yellow goods, which are low-risk, expressive toys. And these things include actual, maybe literal toys for a child, snack foods, beer, alcohol, cigarettes, things that aren't too expensive, that won't put you in a great amount of debt, but aren't necessary for you to live a functional life.
That hurt. You're not you when you're hungry. Snickers satisfied.
The researchers that developed the PCM found that the cognitive mechanism of humor, which focuses on being surprising and unexpected, was the most successful in keeping the audience's attention focused on the advertisement. With the implementation of comedic commercials, many advertisers have been able to reach an incredibly large audience that is almost absurd in effectiveness. For example, if you simply search funny commercials on YouTube and sort them by the amount of views they have, the number one is a 15-minute compilation of a bunch of different Minion commercials advertising who knows what. And then we have the best commercial ever, Nike football. 46 million people watched this commercial. So obviously, humor is not only able to keep a person's attention longer, but it also works to draw in a larger crowd just because of the merit of it being funny alone. Imagine how happy the people who make these advertisements are. They're getting millions of people who are seeking out and even sharing these ads with others just because they're funny. But even though a commercial is found to be humorous to many, does not mean that it will be successful in portraying its message. The intentional relatedness of the message in proportion to the comedy aspect of the advertisement is an important component to balance. Some ads do this incredibly well, but other ads fall quite short of this mark and end up just being confusing. Take for example this popular Geico commercial. It spends the majority of its runtime focusing on this camel annoying people in an office. In the 30 seconds this ad has to promote Geico and its services, it spends 22 of those seconds on a talking camel. This ad tries to be funny, but it's just annoying. And it tells you nothing about Geico. I don't think it even says it's an insurance company. This commercial is an example of being humor dominant instead of message dominant. After looking at an example of intentional relatedness gone wrong, it's time to focus on a company that has mastered the balancing act of making an effective and comical ad. This particular company was able to reach over 1.2 billion people with their ad campaign and became the most viewed sponsored YouTube channel at the time. This company was of course Procter & Gamble with their Old Spice products. Old Spice went from having ads like this and this.
Old Spice means quality, said the captain to the bosun. So ask for the package with the ship that sails the ocean. Yo-ho, yo-ho.
And to be honest, these ads are okay, but then we eventually get ads that are like this.
Hello, ladies.
Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell her. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamond. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
As time went on, the advertisers for Procter & Gamble made more and more commercials, each funnier and crazier than the last. And now today we have ads like these. What makes these newer ads work so well is that they're engaging in many different ways. First of all, they mostly use the cognitive mechanism of humor, which was shown to be the most engaging in the research I talked about earlier. They also have a perfect balance in terms of intentional relatedness. Unlike that Camel ad, Old Spice doesn't mess around. In the opening seconds of each of these ads, whatever Old Spice product they are advertising is shown to us nice and big in front of the camera. This lets the audience know immediately what is being peddled to them, and by showing the product first before anything else happens, everything else that occurs in the commercial is related in the audience's mind to Old Spice and their products, rather than having your company being overshadowed by a camel. These ads are also visually interesting, and the juxtaposition of these actors' straight performances as the stereotypical masculine men, and the interesting and ridiculous backgrounds and actions keep the audience engaged on many levels, and ensure maximum attention span throughout the ad's duration. The advertisers for Old Spice also took advantage of social media in addition to having their ads on television. They knew that people like to show their friends funny things online because it makes them seem more interesting without having to actually be a creative or funny person. If you take a look at any of these Old Spice commercials on YouTube, they all have hundreds of thousands and sometimes even millions of views from people who maybe see the ad on television and want to watch it again because it was funny and well done, or maybe a friend shared the video online and you check it out and you end up going down a rabbit hole of continuous Old Spice ads. We can also categorize Old Spice onto the PCM as a blue product or a little toy, which is a functional and cheap item, and as shown by previous studies and reinforced by Old Spice, blue goods benefit greatly from having funny ads and by also using the cognitive mechanism of humor. In conclusion, by seamlessly blending entertainment into advertising through the use of humor, Old Spice products are in a position of having ads that people seek out on their own free will and enjoy while exposing others to the product. And the way this is done falls nicely in line with the results of some of the most well-known studies on this topic, which can be reinforced by the real-life example of Procter & Gamble's Old Spice ad campaigns. That is it for my portion of the advertisement group project. I hope you all enjoyed, and more importantly, I hope you learned something. Thank you for your time, and let's move on to the next presentation.
I'm attorney Peter Francis Geraci. If your credit cards are too high, consider Chapter 7 or Chapter 13 No Interest Repayment. Log on to infotapes.com or call now.
It was the best commercial I'd ever seen in my entire life.